Okay, welcome back everyone to The Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
So today we're tackling, well, a really significant topic, global governance.
And how the state, the traditional idea of a country, fits into this increasingly connected world.
Exactly. We've been looking through excerpts from contemporary global governance in the state.
Hmm.
Our aim is to sort of unpack what global governance really is.
Because it's probably not what most people immediately think of. Spoiler. No world government.
Ah, right. And we want to explore how major players like the UN function and how globalization is, well, shaking things up for the nation state.
Yeah, the source material has some really interesting angles on this. It gets into how the world manages things without that central authority.
It's much more of a network, isn't it? Less top-down.
Definitely. And that's maybe the first big takeaway. When you hear global governance, you might picture, I don't know, some single powerful organization running everything.
You're like a sci-fi trope.
But the source is clear that's not it.
No. It describes global governance as the whole collection of rules, norms, institutions, all the things that manage relationships across borders.
It explicitly says no single global government, just this complex web.
Which is a really key point to start with.
Absolutely. And within that web, you've got major institutions. The UN comes up prominently in the material, of course.
For sure. The text calls it the largest, most universal intergovernmental body. Its main job: fostering cooperation, maintaining international order.
Basically, keeping the peace, encouraging friendly relations, promoting cooperation on, well, pretty much everything.
Economics, social issues, culture, human rights.
Right, and just giving countries a place to work together on these shared goals. It's a broad mandate.
Okay, so we have this web idea, the UN as a big node in it. Let's talk about the state itself now, the traditional definition.
Right. Territory, people, government, and that big one, sovereignty.
Supreme authority inside its borders, independence outside. That classic model.
Exactly. And that's where globalization starts to apply pressure, according to the source.
How so?
Well, the authors talk about the massive increase in speed and scale of movement people, information, money, goods, just flowing across borders much more easily.
You mean things like more open trade, global finance, technology making communication and travel faster?
Precisely. All that connection. And this creates problems that just ignore borders entirely.
Like what?
The source points to things like pollution, financial meltdowns, pandemic,
Things we've certainly seen recently.
organized crime, terrorism. They're all transnational by nature. You can't just build a wall against climate change, for instance.
Right, or a cyber attack. One country can't really solve those alone.
Exactly. And that inability to solve it alone puts a strain on purely national decision-making. The source suggests it creates this kind of tension.
A tension.
Yeah, like a push to move some decisions up to the international level where you can coordinate.
Okay.
But also, interestingly, a pull to shift other decisions down to local levels. Often because people want more direct, say, more responsiveness.
So the state isn't vanishing, but its exclusive control, its sovereignty is being stretched, pulled upwards and downwards.
That's the idea. It shows the practical limits of pure sovereignty when the world is so interconnected.
Okay, so let's try and summarize the key points from the source then.
Right. First, global governance isn't one single thing. It's this complex system of rules and bodies managing cross-border stuff.
Got it. No world government.
Second, the UN is a major player in that system, focused on cooperation and order across many areas.
That makes sense.
And third, globalization is really changing the game for states. It creates these big border-crossing problems.
That need more than just national solutions.
And that pushes decision-making both outwards to international forums and inwards towards more local control.
Understanding that whole dynamic seems pretty vital for making sense of, well, almost any major global issue today.
It really is.
Yeah.
It shows how states are trying to adapt.
So thinking about all that, here's something maybe for you, our listeners, to chew on based on the source material. If sovereignty, that supreme authority, is core to the definition of a state,
Right.
but these global problems force cooperation beyond the state, and decision-making gets shifted around, how is the actual practice of sovereignty changing? What does that tension, that push and pull, mean for how we actually tackle the huge challenges facing everyone?
That's a deep question. Definitely something to reflect on.
We hope this deep dive gave you some useful food for thought.
Thanks for tuning in.